So welcome back, my friends. In this session, we are going to go again and do another deep dive into arrays. This time you'll be using strings, you'll be using characters in C to help us achieve that. Simply, I intend to create a program that will be able to sort a list of names. Given the user enters, let's say 5 names, then our program should be able to sort these names that the user enters, or these characters, string characters that the user enters in ascending order. I'll move straight to where I store my programs with a folder bearing my name. Then see programs very fast. I'll create a program using none that I'll call maybe sort list or name lists. I'll call it sort name list.c because it's a list with names, or sort names list.c. So I'll have my hash include, that's obvious, stdio.h. I'll require also to include the string library in C. Standard, I think it's string.h, if I'm not wrong. And then I will define a size over my array. This time it will be just 40. Maybe I'll leave this alone. I'll come and enter int main. The first thing is that I'll come here and create my array of names. So I'll call it array names. It's of type character, sorry for that. Char names will be of size 10, or maybe size first, it's a 2-dimensional array. Maybe I will say it's of size 20 by 30. 20 rows by that. It's 20 by 30 first and second name. And then from there, I will have, of course, I would create another array to store the temporary value, and to be having size 20. I will also call maybe that for now. And then I'll move to int I j, which I'll be using to loop my arrays. And then of course I'll be having also n1 and maybe n to store my number of names. So from there I can print f to the screen and tell the user to enter the number of names that they wish. I will scan f and receive the names. I'll say names, no, I'll say n, let's say 10 names, and this will prompt us to move to our loop. So we can say for int I, or for I is equals to 0, I less than n, meaning n minus 1, I plus plus. For every time that we have this, then we can scan f. Maybe we can scan f. Now we want to read a name in here, and we can use the get s string function. However, due to security reasons that came along with the get s, nowadays it's preferred to use the f get s, and which is a function which will take in an array. It will take in an array first. Our array itself is a string names, and then of course the second parameter is the size of the array itself, names size. And then the last parameter is the file where it will be reading in our array from. In this case, it's from the standard input from the keyboard. From there, we'll end our program, maybe our loop there. And this time round, we will have rent in the names. Let's say 10 names. The user says, I want to enter 10 names, maybe Kelvin, Come, blah, blah, blah. Then this one will have captured our names and stored it in the names array. So now the next step is to move again to sort our array, or we go to compare our arrays. In this case, time round, I'm assuming that the array itself is of maybe any kind of size that you may wish. So I'll use for I is equals to maybe 0. I'll be comparing the same way we compared it the other time on the other array, I less than n minus 1, because I will compare every name with the rest of the array, but I will compare only up to the second last. because you cannot compare the last read name with the last name. So this is the outer loop where we are comparing every name, let's say the name which is in the first position or the first index with the rest of the array. And then I'm comparing the one in the second position with the rest of the array, the one in the third position with the rest of the array. But now when you get to the second last, this will be the last one, because you can only compare the second last with the last, and the last cannot be compared with anything else. So that's why we are saying n-1 there, and then I plus plus. From there, I will of course close my loop, and I'll come back here. I'll have another for loop. For j, now this is the inner loop. For every time I compare, let's say the first time I is in the 0, you are comparing the first name. Then you should compare the first name with from the second name all the way up. And that is why it should be j is equals to I plus 1. That's why it should start. And then j less than n. This one should move all the way to the last element, the last name, and then j plus plus. So if this is the case, then you simply come here. You'll come here, just a minute. I close that loop. I'll come here and compare if I'll use the string compare whatever function, and I'll compare if names I is greater than alphabetically names j. If it is greater than, then it should be giving us greater than 0 there. If it is greater than, then you can comfortably come and say, so this if should be closed here. So I'll come here, I make it count, come there. If that is the case, then the temporary should be assigned. If it's greater than, then the temporary should be assigned the names I. Of course, how do we now assign using C? Strings. I will say string str copy. I'll copy inside the temporary. Remember, it's an array, and therefore I can just call it by the name. Then names. I'll copy in the names of I, the I, that array there. Now I will also come and compare, because now names is greater than alphabetical, so I compare it to the temporary, and then I'll take this temporary to the value which is it greater than. And therefore I'll also copy, string copy. What was in names I now will be copied to what was in names, what is in names j, be copied to what is in names I. And then you copy again. What now is in names j will copy. What was in names j now will be copied to the temporary value will be copied there. So from there we have already, we do have already now our array now, which is sorted. And now the other thing is that now we want to be able to print out the screen so the users can see. So this is the end of our loop, and then this is the end of the if, and then this is the inner loop, this is the outer loop. So I'll jump straight there, and I'll now use the counter for I is equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Now I can print out the names by saying printf. I'll use the format specifier for a string. Printf, the type specifier or the format specifier for a string, and then I will output my names, and then I, like that, and then names I think that one should work, and then I'll return 0. Then I end there. I see program. So I have to come again here. Enter the number of names. So here, instead of maybe you can ask, because f-scan of f get s, it will also read the first one here. So we have to get rid of this. So So you can simply ask the user, you can initialize n to 5 in this case. Initialize n to 5, enter 5 names. Enter 5 names. You can tell the user to enter 5 names. I will try to compile this. Is C sort names list. C output sort names list. Errors. Good. So the first error is too few arguments. First one is a string compare. Makes a pointer. String compare names. String compare names I. So let's try to go there. String compare names I think this one should not be greater than, it should just be a comma. Sorry for that. Just be a comma, and then I will try to compile. Good. Sort names a list. Enter 5 names. Kelvin, Ome, Janet, Wezo, Lona, Pendo, Mark, Z, Laban, D. So you can see it has already sorted